what are a couple of the ideas in Shakespeare's text that are universally and timelessly, right, relevant? So yeah, there's that political aspect, and like I guess what you're there talking about is the motivation for power and the corruptibility of power. I would say like control is definitely a central element, but that's probably kind of secondary somewhat, that political aspect, but it's definitely a relevant idea. But I think the idea of control is something that's explored in both texts, and people struggling with letting go of control. That's really a struggle that is at the core of both texts. What form of control does Prospero have? So he's able to actually control the characters in the course of the play through his magic, but he has to let go of that. What other form of control does Prospero have? He has control over Caliban, but the important thing there is he is kind of the colonizer in that way, right? So does everyone understand that he's come to this island and now has taken control of Caliban, who's the native? But there's one other type of control I just want to foreground from the outset here that Prospero has, and we learn about it quite early on the island. So Miranda, so he actually has, so there's paternal, but actually patriarchal is probably more fit in, because he, as the male leader of the island, right, he's taken over the island, it's kind of representing his patriarchal control. Patriarchal, that just basically means male dominated, right? And he has this patriarchal control over Miranda, right, the innocent daughter, and he basically controls what she's allowed to know, and obviously because they're on an island, where she can go, etc. So he actually has to let go of that form of control. He's obsessed with control. There's all of these forms of control, but actually that obsession with control is ironically what imprisons him. And the play, just to recap the play quickly here before we go properly into it, is about Prospero and Felix as well in Hagseed. Both of their struggles are to let go of what they're trying to control. The important thing is that what they're controlling is different. Okay, there are different forms of control. It's like, why does Felix in the novel want to even put on the play The Tempest? So the important thing for everyone to note is that the reason for the revenge that both of these protagonists try to affect, the reason is different. The primary reason for Prospero is that he wants revenge. The primary reason for Felix is that he wants to resurrect or reincarnate his now deceased daughter, Miranda. So Miranda's actually died in the novel, whereas she didn't die in the play. So see, that reimagining of the plot allows for a new focus. Now, let's test where you're all at here. Why would we refocus that? Why isn't his primary focus what Luke's saying with the revenge? Why is that his secondary focus now? You know, we understand revenge and stuff. It's just not something you really see today, where someone like goes and kills someone else because they killed their family, and we're like, oh, that's all good. Like, I get it. Like, you had to do that. You know, you actually go to jail if that happens. So if you go and avenge someone now, you kill someone who killed someone you knew, you're going to go to jail for a long time. That's not what would happen back then all the time, because people would understand it and they would accept it as a norm. Now, not in all contexts back then. I'm just saying in terms of that feudal context. That's the most important thing there, right? So it's a feudal context where revenge ties in with honor and duty. So people were seen to actually have a duty of revenge. So people back then really would empathize with that struggle. Of course you want to get revenge. They banished you from the island, or from the mainland rather, and they sent you off to an island. They sent Prospero off. So of course you want to get revenge. But in today's context, people aren't going to relate to that. They're not going to sympathize as much with it as Finn said. What are they going to sympathize with? The guilt of and suffering and loss of a loved one. So do you see how it goes from that more external source, that revenge against someone else, to trying to overcome an internal and inner emotional problem? That's really important. So that's why the primary form of control and what Prospero and Felix are trying to do, that's fundamentally why that changes.